Alright guys and girls, as you can see I have my Tiburon up on some ramps. I just put it up on the ramps. There's a reason for that. As you can see, I do have the back wheels chalked off. Alright, and the reason why it's up on the ramps is because the starter is bad on the car. So I'm going to show you guys how to change the starter on, I think this applies to all V6 models of the Tiburons from 03 to 08. The starter gave out at me while I was at work, and we ended up having to push start it until I can make it to the garage and take care of it. Here goes the new starter right here. Another problem I was having, which I actually just finished and buttoned everything up right now, was well, it's a long story, but cut things short, I was taking apart the fuel rails to move the rear injectors to the front and the front injectors to the rear. I'm just trying to eliminate a problem that I'm having, but I found out that there was an O-ring which sits right inside of here, which was pretty much shot and disintegrated. So I'll put a picture in this video to show you what I'm talking about. Alright, I'm shooting this video after I've already installed a new starter in the car. The reason I did it like this is because I just wanted to know exactly what tools I was going to use so I could give you the correct information. But this is everything I end up using. First of all, this is great. That way you don't have to lay on the ground, you don't have anything stabbing you in your back or anything like that. So get something to, make the job a little bit easier on yourself. Even if it's cardboard that you just throw down, just help yourself out. Safety glasses. I can't stress that enough. I've gotten things in my eyes that I wish I had glasses on at the point. So just be safe, wear your glasses. Magnetic tray, you don't really need it, but it's nice to have. Keep all your bolts intact so you don't lose anything. This over here is what I use to disconnect my negative terminal on a battery, but I'm using a terminal from an auto parts store, so it has a 14mm nut on it. Now if you still have the original terminal on your car, it may not be a 14mm, so that's gonna vary, but this is just what I use to disconnect the battery terminal. As for actually taking the starter off, what you're going to need is a 10mm ratchet, which this side is 10 side. You could also use a regular wrench, but ratcheting helps get things quicker. I have a 3/8 ratchet here. It's a flex head, but it's just the one I just happen to have on me. It doesn't have to be a flex head. You have a deep 10mm, a short 12. Let's put this aside for now. You have a short 14 and a deep 14. This is what you're going to need to take out your original starter. And when you go to put the aftermarket starter in, well, I'm assuming it's an aftermarket one if you're getting it like from, or a remanufactured one, if you're getting it from an auto parts store. For some reason, the short 12 right here is to remove I think it's a power source on the back side of the starter. So use it to 12, but on the remanufactured one from the auto parts store, for some reason they bumped up the nut size to a 13. So you're gonna need a 13 when you're installing the new one. And that's pretty much it. This is the tools that you're gonna need. Oh, and a flashlight. I've been using this. So that's pretty much everything you're gonna need to get underneath your car and get that starter out. Alright guys, I have the car jacked up already, as I said. But before we actually start on the car, taking off the starter, let's go ahead and disconnect the battery. I'm going to take off the negative terminal on this car. set it aside. You don't want the battery connected while you're taking the starter off. Now let's move on to the next step. Alright, I have a small magnetic tray right here just to put any of the bolts or the nuts that we take off the car so they don't get lost. Obviously you don't need one of these, you could just do whatever you want with them. Just try not to lose them. Alright, so right when you get underneath the car, you see your exhaust manifold right here. Here's the O2 sensor. And the starter is actually right in front of the engine, right here. It's this shield that's stamped with GK on it. That's just a shield for the starter. And to get it off, you're gonna need the 10mm socket. So you have one right here. You have one right there. And then there's one that's coming from the back side. It's right here. So let's get those three off. Alright, and here goes the shield that was on the starter. Just a little tip. Here's where the first bolt was. Remember, the second bolt was right here, and I said there was one on the back side, and that's this one. So these two are actually bolts that you drive out, and this one back here is actually just a nut because there's a stud coming out of the starter. So a little tip is, once you take all three of them out, in order to get it off the car, you just want to slide it backwards like that off of that last stud, and it'll drop down, and you have the shield off. Alright, so the shield is off of the starter, and this is what we have to do now. This is a dust boot right here. You just simply lift the boot up, and you can see there's a stud coming out of the starter with one 12mm nut on it, and I've already loosened this, so let me get that out of the way. And don't drop it like I did. Okay, so next is to just pull this off and set that aside. Next thing is, see this pink wire? All you have to do is push on this tab and it'll release and you pull out. So let me go ahead and get that. Mine is being a bit of a trouble right now, but once we get that pink wire disconnected, we're done on this side. Alright, so now we're on the other side of the starter again. You have two to take off on this side. This is a stud, and the one up there is a nut. They're both 14mm, but for this one, you could use the short socket like I have here. The nut on top, you're gonna want a long or a deep socket. I think it's just easier like that. It's hard to get in here with a short socket. It's almost I suppose you could do it, but it's just easier with the long one. So let's get those two out and move on from there. Alright, so I took out the top nut on top, and the starter is just ready to drop right out. I'm going to show you how easily it comes out once you disconnect it and unbolted everything. Now that pink wire that was on the other side that I said was giving me a hard time, I could not get it all from the angle I was at. So what I just decided to do was take the starter out, and I thought I would deal with it once the starter's actually down here, and that actually works so much better. So once you got all the nuts and the bolts out, just kind of play with it a little bit, move it around. And there goes the starter. See, there goes the wire right there, the pink wire. Once I got it out like this, it was still connected, and I just disconnected it while I had it in this position. So if it's giving you a hard time when I was first trying to get at it, I suggest just leave it on and actually pull the whole starter out like this, and then you could get to it right there. So much more easier. But there you go, the starter is out. Alright, now that I have the starter out, I have it here sitting next to the new one. Just comparing the both, just want to make sure everything's exactly the same. To be honest, I really don't even know if this starter is going to work for my car. I mean, I could be completely wrong about this, but I have the 6-speed model. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think the 6-speed model has a different flywheel, and maybe even the teeth are different on the flywheel. I'm not sure. But I hope that the starters are the same between the 5-speed and the 6-speed. If they are exactly the same, then there's going to be no problem. But if the teeth on the flywheel are different on the 6-speed, then this probably won't fit unless by some reason I got the right part for my car. Because I've noticed that having the 6-speed model, it's the chance of an auto parts store carrying the right part for my car is very slim. They always carry all the parts for the 5-speed model, but nothing for the 6-speed. So the fact that O'Reilly's even had this in stock kind of worries me, because they never carry anything for the 6-speed model. I'm trying to look at the teeth right here where they engage with the flywheel. I mean, they look the same, I guess, but who knows? I guess just throw it on the car and see what happens when I go to start it. Hopefully I won't have any problems. Well, let me throw this thing in. I don't think I need to post how to install this thing. It's pretty much reverse of how you took it out. It was pretty simple. So once I get it on the car, I'll do an update and let you guys whether this thing actually works for my car or not. Alright, so I just reconnected the negative side on the battery. Here it goes. And success. Let's try it one more time. Alright, so everything works great. All I have to do is go underneath the car now and install the shield back onto the starter, and that'll be it. I'm actually surprised, well, I shouldn't say surprised, but I'm actually glad that this new starter does work. I'm not really sure. Maybe the teeth on the flywheel of the 5 and the 6-speed are exactly the same, or maybe I just got the right part from O'Reilly's this time. Honestly, I don't know. Either way, I'm just grateful it works. So yeah, I hope this video helps you, and to show you how easy it is to change a starter on these Tiburons. It's very, very easy. I could have done it very quickly had I not been recording, or even faster if I was using power tools. But yeah, I hope this video helps you, and get out there and do it yourself if your car needs a starter. Thanks for watching.